Now, without any further ado, let's go to the first presentation. And I would like to tell you a little bit about Sally. Sally is an international fellow at Peace Players International, a sport for social change organization that uses sport to unite, empower, and educate communities in conflict. She's based in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Sport has a language of its own that everyone can understand and appreciate, a language of hope where anything is possible, where we underdog will always have a fair shot to achieve greatness, and where leaders are made, not born. And in her own words, she says, I began my career in girls' empowerment and sports-based youth development, and this was where I discovered my life's mission, to leverage the skills learned from playing sport to empower young people, and in special girls, to unlock and realize their full potential. This mission has served me well as a career compass and a source of fulfillment. It has given me the avenue to combine my love for sports, cultural discovery, and building partnership for social change and brand awareness. I have worked multi-country teams to plan and execute leadership for sports international exchange in Cyprus, Middle East, Norway, Northern Ireland. Um, and I would like to say that also I know Sally personal. We did a course during our master studies, and she is a very enthusiastic, very positive person, and this is why I really wanted her to share this passion with you. So Sally, please, you have the floor.
Wow. Thanks so much, Diana, for the lovely introduction. And thanks to UN Women for providing such a resourceful platform for the promotion and realization of women's economic empowerment. I'd like to give a special thanks as well to Ekpapalek, which Clarissa just told me how to pronounce correctly, for steering this initiative to connect students with professionals for the purpose of mentorship. I am really thrilled and honored to share my story and my presentation with our listeners. My presentation today will be, highlighting the positive impact of sports on the lives of young people, especially girls, and how sport can be used as a medium to develop leadership skills and to build up your confidence to really pursue your life goals. I think before we get started, it might help to give our listeners a bit of a background of myself and my academic background. So I attended Lehman College, which is a part of the City University of New York network, where I earned my bachelor's in political science and philosophy. And at Lehman College, I was the 3-year captain of the women's basketball team. And very similar to most liberal arts students, I lacked the clarity, on what career path I wanted to pursue after college. And right after undergrad, I started applying to graduate schools. And I was accepted into the New School, which is where I met Diana, on a partial scholarship. And I went on to earn my master's in international affairs at the New School. And it really wasn't until towards the end of my graduate studies that I began to gain a greater clarity on what career path I wanted to embark on. So I really hope my experience in the process that I followed as a student while in grad school will be useful in some way to our listeners today. So if we look at our next slide, I remember it was my last year in grad school. I sat down and I really wanted to help myself become more self-aware. So Diana, it's a slide before this one. Diana, do you have the slides? So just going back to my last semester in grad school, I wanted to focus on becoming more self-aware. And I spent some time, wrote down my goals, and I wanted to decide, all right, what do I want to achieve, academically, and what do I want to achieve professionally as well? So I identified my different strengths. I identified what I categorized as my barriers to growth. And in my case, it was, public speaking and, a limited working experience. So, at this point, I knew that I wanted to pinpoint a sense of direction for my career, and I was going to leverage my strengths towards, making sense of my career path. So, I started looking for coaching opportunities, and I knew I just didn't want to coach sports. I knew I wanted to make an impact. And this was when I discovered Power Play NYC, which is a nonprofit organization that uses sports to teach life skills and healthy living. And I began working part-time as a coach in elementary schools, while in graduate schools. And I coached in different elementary schools around New York City. And I was so shocked, to find that most of the schools did not have after-school sports programs for girls. I even remember coaching at a school that didn't have a gym or a sports hall, as we call it here in Belfast. And, a lot of the girls that I also coached, I noticed had very limited access to playing sports. Either their parents worked late and couldn't pick them up from practice or from after-school programs, or they had younger siblings that they had to take care of. And I also noticed the impact that I was having, just by being myself and being a coach and providing a safe space for these girls to really develop their self-confidence and self-esteem. And during the summer, I felt very engaged. I had a lot of fun while coaching. And most importantly, I was getting comfortable with, speaking in front of large groups. Luckily, 10 and 11-year-olds are an easy group of people to communicate with. And after my first year coaching at Power Play, I became a lead coach, and I took on more operational and program management responsibilities. And as a lead coach at Power Play, I gained exposure to project management and coordination. I met remarkable women who had leveraged the life skills they gained through sports, such as resilience, competition, teamwork, to succeed in their careers in finance, sports management, investment banking, and consulting. I found their stories so inspirational and motivating. And not only was I gaining strong professional experience and strengthening my barriers to growth, I was reaching a greater sense of clarity as well. And, I really came to appreciate during this time the significance of sports and why more girls should be given the opportunity to take part from a young age. And I also, realized something that I never thought of during my playing years, which is that, sport is one of the most important socio-cultural learning environments in our society. And until quite recently, it had only been reserved for boys and men. I think that, combined with other physical health benefits from playing sports, it's critically important that we widen access to playing sports for young girls. And you can imagine what a young girl growing up having a strong sense of self-confidence because of her achievement in sports or because of the friendships that she developed while playing on the sports team. That girl is more likely to set goals and have a support system to pursue those goals, and she's probably more likely to be successful as well. So in the next slide, I talk about finding your element. I remember when I started graduate school, I was on this mission to redefine my identity. I had spent my high school, even middle school and college years totally invested in my sport, in basketball. And I was, prepared to challenge myself to succeed academically without my athletic identity. And I soon realized that, this was a mistake and that my sport, was indeed my element. And, not to be confused with your passion. We hear a lot about, encouraging young people these days to follow their passions. I think your element is a completely different thing. And it's really where you feel most at ease. It's the culture that you're a part of. It's the peers you're around. It's your social style. It's the type of work that you gravitate to. For example, do you thrive in a team setting, or do you prefer to work independently? Do you feel more comfortable with writing, or do you feel more comfortable with quantitative analysis? For me, helping young people and young girls especially be the best that they could be was my element, and sport was the medium I was going to use to thrive in that element and also to overcome, what I identified as my barriers to growth. And once you identify, what your element is, don't be afraid to combine your element with your strengths and your academic and professional interests. So in my next slide, I talk a bit more about, once I figured out what my strengths were and I knew what my element is, I had reconnected with my element, I was able to really confront my barriers to growth. I gained more professional experience, and because I was in my element, I felt very, very comfortable. And it was a great space for me to develop and practice what I identified early on as core skills, such as strategic skills, strategic planning skills, analytical skills, presenting skills. And I think regardless of what field that you choose to go into, what subject you're studying, I'm a firm believer that these core skills can position you for opportunities in the future, and of course to succeed, academically as well. So once you've identified your element and you're aware of what your areas of, what areas what your strong areas are, and where you thrive, find as many opportunities as possible within your element to practice and develop, your core skills. This could be through extracurricular activities. In my case, it was coaching. I knew I was a good writer. I had gained experience in the past by writing for the online news platform known as Mike.com during their startup phase. And I had held leadership positions in the past as the captain of my basketball team. So once I knew what I had in my skill set or my toolbox, and I had my element, I was ready to move forward. And I I'd like to wrap up by um, really saying a big thank you to Diana and Empower Women for providing this platform. And I hope my story and my experience inspire all of you, to get involved with your local sport community and really to encourage girls to take part in sports. When I think about gender inequality, I really believe that sports can play a role in this space. Sport is where boys have traditionally learned about teamwork and goal setting and the pursuit of excellence and performance and like other, achievement-oriented behaviors that are necessary for success in the workplace or even in entrepreneurship. In an economic environment where, the quality of our children's lives will be dependent on two-income families, I think it's really important that, our young girls are not less prepared for, the highly competitive workplace than boys. It's no accident that 80% of female executives at Fortune 500 companies are identified with having played sports at some point in their lives. I'd also like to stress that, as much as sport is a great medium to teach life skills and to impact the well-being of young people for the better, it can only really be successful when complemented with a positive youth coaching approach. Placing a high focus on creating safe space for young people to freely express themselves, make new friends, and learn new skills is really key. So that's really my story and my experience, and I hope that you know, my experience will inspire some of you guys to go out and really get involved with sport in your local community and really champion using sports to empower young people.